So in 2017, one of the main subjects that got under my skin the most, and was certainly a focal point of discussion, was not Black Lives Matter or feminism, bedroom feminism to be more precise, nor President Trump. It was Title IX. Now this was something that was brought to my attention by a patron, many times in fact, so I decided to invest some time in making videos on the subject, because Title IX is something that fascinates me. Title IX is to me, well, it became quite stupid. So to start, we should first of all define what Title IX is. Simply put, no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. As we all know, there are a number of colleges that openly ignore this, and do discriminate because some have excuses like affirmative action or racial quotas, some do not openly show the numbers, so they can show whether or not they are in fact breaching Title IX or not. And of course Title IX has come in handy because it's managed to get people kicked out of college without any level of due process, with simply a mere accusation levelled, either by a fellow student or by a university who has then gone on to ignore the request of someone who has explicitly indicated that the person who has been accused of being violent wasn't in fact being violent and somebody did not see clearly. But it's okay everyone, they got expelled. And also something that has happened is that a number of people who have been expelled from colleges because of this, or who have negatively been impacted because of Title IX, have received quite a lot of compensation in courts. I know. Imagine my shock. Being denied due process or just being discriminated against was enough cause for someone to manage to get compensation. You can trace this back to Emma Sulkowicz, where the real victim, the man she accused of raping her, he didn't, settled out of court with Columbia. Good for him. There are other students who have managed to get six-figure sums from colleges, and it's starting to get to the point where universities are going to have to reconsider their business model, because if the purpose of a university is to make money, how are they doing that when they're spending quite a lot of money on legal fees and settlements? I know someone's now going to tell me, the purpose of a university is to educate. No. You, the student, go to a lecture. You take down notes from the lecture. You, in your free time, do the learning, not the university. They give you everything you need, and you do the rest. You do the learning, and prove to them you have learnt through essays, assignments, examinations. Now with those cases that have since come out where people have got some compensation, you'd think that the universities would start paying attention. Certainly when DeVos basically erased the Obama letter, she killed it, and she got a huge backlash for doing so. I, however, tend to think that actually it was the right thing to do. And I will include a link to the Obama letter in the description, or the Dear Colleague letter as it's more commonly known, where many believed the Dear Colleague letter gave more powers to colleges to act in areas where they shouldn't. It's also important to note the Dear Colleague letter isn't considered legal legislation, but, quote, a significant guidance document. And I'm going to read from it now. Dear Colleague, education has long been recognized as the great equalizer in America. The U.S. Department of Education and its Office for Civil Rights believe that providing all students with an educational environment free from discrimination is extremely important. The sexual harassment of students, including sexual violence, interferes with students' right to receive an education free from discrimination, and in the case of sexual violence is a crime, which is why when sexual violence has ever cropped up, I have never once believed a college should have any powers to act on it. It should always be dealt with law enforcement. Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 and its implementing regulations prohibit discrimination on the basis of sex in education programs or activities operated by recipients of federal financial assistance. Sexual harassment of students, which includes acts of sexual violence, is a form of sex discrimination prohibited by Title IX in order to assist recipients, which include school districts, colleges, and universities, in meeting these obligations. This letter explains that the requirements of Title IX pertaining to sexual harassment also cover sexual violence, and lays out the specific Title IX requirements applicable to sexual violence. Sexual violence, as that term is used in this letter, refers to physical sexual acts perpetrated against a person's will, or where a person is incapable of giving consent due to the victim's use of drugs or alcohol. An individual also may be unable to give consent due to an intellectual or other disability. A number of different acts falling into the category of sexual violence include rape, sexual assault, sexual battery, and sexual coercion. All such acts of sexual violence are forms of sexual harassment covered under Title IX. Now, this dear colleague letter goes on for many pages, but the summary of it has been interpreted as giving the federal government authority to dictate specific procedures that colleges must use to adjudicate student-on-student sexual assault allegations. And I can dumb this down even further. With the more than 7,000 colleges receiving federal money, they are asked to use the lowest possible standard of proof, so as little evidence as possible, in sexual assault cases, to either get a conviction or expulsion. This, lowering the bar to such a degree, and to such a degree where false rape allegations seem to have been believed more than actual rape cases themselves, led to some to believe that a rape culture existed. It led to a number of cases being openly outed as not being true, which has then led to an increasing number of people wondering how on earth these people can get away with it, because some have. One very well-known one has not, and of course I will link that in the description. Now, the most recent case that has cropped up, and this one has... oh, this one's quite special. This one has been reported by the College Fix, where an autistic student asked for a fist bump, so he got consent, and a selfie, he asked for consent, and he got struck with 2 Title IX investigations for it. So, the student who has autism, cerebral palsy, and a shunt to relieve fluid pressure on his brain was not allowed to defend himself against allegations in 2 Title IX investigations this past fall. Well, that's because the little group that get together to decide the fate of students are rather clandestine in their nature, and they like to hide behind doors where nobody can possibly hear them declare guilty. Aurora Knight has raised more than half of the money to cover legal fees, GoFundMe linked in the description by the way, through a GoFundMe as she challenges the sexual misconduct findings on her son's record. Though Saddleback College have lifted the suspension, which I'm going to play a clip from Marcus Knight actually, because he actually discussed it in a video, which is linked below as well, but I'll play the clip now as well.
Hello everyone, this is Marcus Knight, and I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that has supported me and my family during this difficult time. The good news is the suspension has been lifted, so I can continue my education, but the Title IXs are still on my school record, so I still need your support. I'm not a bad guy, but I was just trying to make friends. The safest way I've been taught by doing is a fist bump, and asking permission for selfies. My actions were not inappropriate. I do not deserve 2 Title IXs in my record. I know I'm different, but I'm not a monster. I just wanted to make friends and fit in like everyone else. Thank you for your ongoing support. And thank you, Ashley, for helping me express myself and writing this message.
Aurora wrote an update to the campaign on Wednesday. Her son has limited expressive language capabilities and cannot negotiate social situations as easily as others. Though he receives academic accommodations for his disabilities, he was not offered accommodations in the Title IX process because it is not a democratic process. You are not deemed innocent before guilty. Because of the Dear Colleague letter, for all intents and purposes you are guilty and not allowed to prove yourself to be innocent. It is one of the most undemocratic things since the EU. Aurora wrote in an email, "When we look at individuals with limited social skills, we cannot expect that they responded the same way as a typical individual." That's not surprising, really, is it? Now, the article continues with a former Drake University trustee who is suing the university for a similar ordeal. It's important to note here that not only was he struck with a Title IX for the fist bump, but also because the victim, quotes, victim, then went on to claim that he had sexually assaulted her, and by doing so continued to spread rumours about this. The college then obviously threw him under the bus and got rid of him, but as we can tell, he did nothing but do a nice thing, and he even attempted to get consent to do so. This is why the Dear Colleague letter needs to burn. This is why if you're going to do Title IX or use it or implement it, you need to reform this element of it. And I know with all the people that were attacking DeVos for her attempts at reform were doing so because they felt that this would mean people wouldn't believe people who had actually been sexually assaulted. Well, I must now say to you, surely with the increased number of people who have been found to either lie or to be innocent, surely that is what is doing more harm, not the more innocent people, the false claims. And then others will say, yes, but only this percentage does it. Yes, but people do it. Those people are an actual problem. They discredit, and they are the ones who are surely a problem. I hope Mr. Knight is found absolutely innocent and this is scrubbed from his record since the college has allowed him to continue his education there. But I would also want that student, the one who did this, the one who set him on this path, to publicly apologise for what she's done. Isn't it enough to mock someone because they want to be nice? But then you just had to turn the screw in. You just had to turn it a little more and make shit up. Liars should not be rewarded with the privilege of a good education. Liars should be in prison being somebody's bitch. Okay? I will, for everyone who is interested, keep you updated on this. And I hope he gets that expunged from his record. And I want that public apology. I think that would be nice. Now, before we finish today's video, on Friday I did a Vermintide 2 stream on my game channel. If any of you are interested in watching that, and also reading the chat because something quite interesting happens. You see, in the middle of a video game, I can't read the chat because I don't have two screens. I have to use my tablet. But positioning-wise, I can't see the chat until there's a lull in the fighting. So I missed some drama, and it apparently was quite delicious. Even with messages deleted, for some reason I keep the Streamlabs chat on the stream itself, so you should be able to read all the messages anyway, even if a message is retracted. So if you're interested in watching that, even though I have no idea what caused it, and watching me play as a dwarf, which is quite amusing as well, then I will leave a link below. So I hope everyone has a lovely Sunday, and thank you all for listening.
Oh, goddowns.
In your arse.
Imagine my shock